Hello. Day 3 or day 4 of my holiday, and these guys have kind of been in my mind a bit recently because they have a tour coming up down this part of the world. They're doing a tour of Australia and New Zealand, and I think it's the 25th anniversary of 100% Colombian. I think that's the purpose of the tour. Um, so I was doing a bit of reading about them, and I was quite surprised by what I discovered. But anyway, I'll get to that when I get to that. So, Fun Loving Criminals. They are a band. They still exist. They're still going in one form or another. But they had their kind of heyday in the late 90s, early 2000s. And there was a period there where I actually quite liked them. I've owned two of these CDs before, new. I had both of these new back in about 1999. I remember I bought them, they were sold together in like a, excuse me, in a cardboard kind of what do you call it? I can't remember. I've talked about it before. When you kind of slip the CD in and out of a cardboard surrounding, and it was you kind of got two albums for the price of one. So this is their first album, Come Find Yourself. So I think this was released in '96. Yeah, '96 on EMI. So major label release, and this is the one that kind of I guess brought them into mainstream consciousness with that song Scooby Snacks, track 4 on this. Um, if you've heard that song, you know it. If you don't, I don't know how to really describe it. It starts off with a sample taken from Pulp Fiction, which at this stage, well, this came in '96. That movie was only 2 years old at the time, which is kind of crazy because now you think of Pulp Fiction as this classic movie, which it is. But back then, it was almost a kind of a newish movie. But how would you describe their music? I looked on the Wikipedia and it said alternative rock. Like, there's certainly alternative rock elements to their music, but it's a lot wider, I'd say, than that. Like, they have almost this kind of, I don't even really know how to characterize it, a Latin kind of feel, a jazz kind of feel, some hip hop kind of sampling put in there. I think this is the song. Was it this? No, it was the other one. I'll have to get to that in a minute. I can say they do sample bits and pieces, but they kind of sample in a very, I guess, sparingly. Um, so yeah, I think this is a good album. Come Find Yourself. Um, I got this secondhand. You see their stuff around quite a lot in New Zealand secondhand. They were relatively popular down here. I remember they came and they played. The first time they came here, they played the Big Day Out Music Festival in 1999, I believe. But they didn't play the main stage. They played kind of one of the side stages. But I didn't actually see them because I was wanting to see another band playing on the main stage, so I didn't bother going out. Um, I can't remember exactly how much I got this for secondhand. I'm pretty sure it's 50 cents, this one. Because, like I said, you do see them around quite often. Um, their albums, you can see here they're naming some of the samples. So, Bomb in the L, they use a sample from Freebird. King of New York, they use a sample from Insensitis. I can't really read what that says. Scooby Snacks uses a sample from Movement of Fear and Pulp Fiction, like I said. Okay, so only 3 samples on this album. I think the other albums they use more. So the image of the band is that they're kind of at least at this stage, or actually even later on, they're kind of like portraying this image of kind of mafioso New York gangsterish type stuff. Um, and I'd say certainly the lead guy, Huey Newton, not Huey Newton, he's the Black Panthers guy, Huey Morgan, Huey Morgan, the guy in the middle there, actually always reminded me of a young um, Robert De Niro. He's quite charismatic frontman, I think, Huey Morgan. Um, he kind of looked the part. If you look at their other album there, really, that guy there, not so much. He actually was only the drummer the first two albums, and then he left. And a lot of this stuff, kind of, yeah, a lot of the things they sung about also were kind of around that kind of cultural. The cultural references were about things like mafia stories or organized crime. The King of New York's about John Gotti. A lot of New York references. Bombing the L. The L is the L train, which is one of the train lines in the New York subway system, I think. Coney Island Girl. Um, see if there's anything else stands out. And also they have this kind of I don't know if it's not the label, but this thing here, D Fontaine Carting and Espresso. So if you've ever watched The Sopranos, you know that waste removal carting is kind of at least in that part of the world, East Coast, tri-state area, is associated with the mafia, La Cosa Nostra, this thing of ours. And so they have like yeah, I don't even know what that is, but that symbol there kind of shows up a lot on their albums. I think they even maybe reference it, but they were actually on the EMI label for the first, I think, four albums. They had a 4 album deal. You can see the condition of this is fine. It's this here is loose, so it kind of comes off the hinge, and it's probably going to break within the next couple of times I use it. But the actual disc itself is fine. Now their second album, 100% Colombian, this came out in '98, I believe. Can't see a date, but I'm pretty sure it was 1998. And there's that DeFontaine thing again. This kind of took them up another level again. I think I got this for $4 at Real Groovy, whereas this one was from a charity shop for, like I said, 50 cents or $1. And the condition of this, therefore, is better. I really like this album. I really like the song Up on the Hill. There's actually a instrumental version of that on Mimosa, which was their kind of what was it? Their covers and B-sides kind of album that they released later on. That I really liked. Again, staying with that same kind of gangster aesthetic, New York, all that kind of stuff. I'm not exactly sure why. Like what? Maybe they felt they'd kind of got onto a winning formula and they just kind of wanted to stick with it. I'm trying to see what other samples they used here. Like there's one of the songs here. I think they use a who does that? It's Too Late. Is that Carole King? It's too late. It's too late. I think they sampled that on what is it? Sugar? Was it Sugar? No, Back on the Block. Back on the Block. Sorry, track 5. Let's have a look. Track 5. Back on the Block. Contains replayed elements. Okay, I'm completely incorrect in that. Contains replayed elements from Tanya Meets Clip. Oh, look at this. Sugar contains elements of 101 by Hall & Oates. I didn't even pick that out. Man, I'm sure that... Okay, so Big Night Out contains elements from American Girl by Tom Petty. Nothing else I can say. Maybe that song, Back on the Block, just sounds like has the same chord progression as that Carole King song. Maybe I'm just completely wrong. I'm misremembering it. I haven't actually listened to this album for quite a while, so I might be wrong. But it's a good album. Like I said, I love Up on the Hill. Love Unlimited was kind of one of the big songs. That's the one about Barry White. I could take or leave that song, to be honest. Korean Bodega, that was a single. It's a good song. What's the one that Supermodel was on? I think that's a Big Night Out, isn't it? All for Self. It's just, yeah, a good solid album. Looking through the track listing, I'm thinking that's a good song. That's a good song. It's a good, apart from Love Unlimited. Maybe I heard that song too many times. I think it is a pretty great album. Then after that, they released Mimosa, and I have Mimosa disc only in one of my folders. I threw the case away probably about 10 years ago. But that's got covers. They do a cover of I'm Not in Love by 10cc and Shining Star by who's Leo Graham and Paul Richmond. Who's that? And Couldn't Get It Right, which is by the Climax Blues Band. Crazy Train, don't like their version of Crazy Train. I don't like the song Crazy Train full stop. I don't know, something like goofy about that song. I know a lot of people consider it like an absolute classic, but cover or Aussie and doing the original, I've never really found out why people like that song so much. We Have All the Time in the World, which is a John Barry and Hal David song. So yeah, most came out in what 2099, late 99, December 99, and like I said, that was covers and reworkings of their songs. Like they do like a smooth version of Scooby Snacks and a 1950s version of Bombing the L. Anyway, I shouldn't be talking because I don't actually have the case in front of me. Then they released Loco. Now, by this stage, I'd kind of lost touch with them and I wasn't buying their albums anymore. I bought this one secondhand, would be $1. Condition is excellent. Now, they got a new drummer at this stage. That guy there in the middle, the short guy, whose name is Mackie. He was the drummer in Chromax, that East Coast hardcore band from the 80s with, what's the guy? Flanagan, Harvey Flanagan? I think it's Harvey Flanagan. Harley Flanagan. I always get everything wrong, man. Harley Flanagan and the other guy, John Joseph, I think is his name. He was the drummer, the original drummer in that. I think he also did some drumming for Bad Brains and like those Hare Krishna hardcore bands, which I think Harley Flanagan was associated with them as well. You know, kind of that East Coast hardcore from the 80s is kind of quite interesting how interconnected all of it was, but also kind of the direction some of them went in with it, like the Hare Krishna thing, which is kind of something you don't really associate with hardcore music. This is maybe the album where they had their biggest single, which was that song Loco, the same name as the album. I didn't like that song either. That's really, by that stage, it doesn't sound anything like alternative rock. It sounds like almost pop. Again, really a Latin element in it. This kind of smooth Latin jazz, This is not a bad album because I never really listened to anything other than that song Loco, which was played on the radio a lot. But there's some good songs on this. Listen, man, my memory. Maybe I'm just getting over COVID, and actually I'm testing negative now, and it was actually very, very mild. But I do feel I've got a bit of brain fog. I was just listening to some of the songs before making this video, and I was thinking I forgot how good that song was on Loco. Now I can't even think what song it was. But again, we're seeing the images they have here. New York, some certain level of urban decay. American cars. Always feels like it's trying to evoke certain kind of imagery with there. There's the D Fontaine thing. I'd say that was the end of their peak. And that's a pretty decent peak from 96 through 2001. That's a 5-year peak for a band that's pretty unique, really. There aren't that many bands in that kind of, because they would, if they were playing on a festival back then, they would be playing in a rock festival. When I said they played at the Big Day Out festival here, they was playing with bands like Korn and Blink-182 and Offspring and shit like that. So it was they were certainly in that area, and they were played on those kinds of radio stations. So it's kind of that they managed to break out with this sound without changing it too much. It's pretty unique thing. The last album I own of theirs is this one here, Welcome to Poppies. Now this stage they only have the two guys on the front. Mackie, the drummer I was just talking to before, he left, and then they got some British drummer. They actually seem to have relocated to Britain because that's, I think, where they found most of their fame and most of their touring success was in Western Europe and Britain in particular. And Huey, he got some work presenting TV shows and also DJing on the radio over there. And I think he actually married a British woman as well. So their new drummer was a British guy. I'm going to run out of time here, and there's actually something I really want to talk about. I think this is an okay album. Friday Night is an excellent, excellent song. I think that stands up with anything else I've had on the previous 3 or 4 albums before this. D Fontaine still going. I got this for, again, 50 cents. Never seen it before, to be honest, because by this stage your albums weren't selling a whole lot, so you're not seeing them around a lot. But yeah, I picked it up and I was pleasantly surprised that they're still making pretty decent music, even though their maybe popularity had waned to a certain degree. So there they are. Now, what's happened is, like I was saying, they announced a tour for New Zealand and Australia a couple of months ago, and I was thinking, I actually wouldn't mind seeing them. It's a kind of almost like a nostalgia thing, and I was kind of toying with the idea. I think tickets were around $90 New Zealand, which would be about $50 US. They're playing the Power Station, which is a smallish venue. I think they're playing in April, and then just as I was reading last night about this, I found out Huey's not even in the band anymore. They've got some random as the singer. I think him, the bassist or keyboardist, Steve, he's singing, and they've got some other guy on guitar. But that guy really is, Huey Morgan really is the kind of the focus of the band. Like I said, he's a very charismatic frontman. He's got quite a distinct and unique voice as well. Not like amazing or anything. It's quite a one note and one dimensional, but it's his, and I can't imagine replicating it would be that easy. So I was I was like, what the fuck? If I'd gone there without researching and then found out they had some other random singer and Huey Morgan wasn't there, I would have been pretty bummed. But apparently he's been posting on his social media saying, hey, everyone should know that I'm not in the band anymore. These guys are trying to, it's fraudulently advertising this anniversary concert, and I'm not even going to be in it because he left the band, and it kind of sounds like it's not very amicable at all. Amicable at all. As it rarely is it? It's always kind of a bit dramatic when someone leaves the band. So yeah, I've got to go. Thanks for watching.